Okay, fantastic. So we're recording with Rosie from Turnstone Guitars. Welcome to the chat.
Hello.
Maybe we can start off by just asking you how you got started building guitars.
I started in late 2010. I was working in London in the charity sector. I've been playing guitar since I was a late teenager, so that was kind of my link to the guitar. Kind of going through a little bit of a quarter-life crisis, thinking that the career that I was doing potentially didn't want to carry on for the rest of my life, but more than anything, kind of feeling that I was lacking some creativity in my day-to-day job. And what was I going to do to maybe kind of entice that part out of me once again? So it just so happened, well, tied in with quite a lot of other things. I was really interested in music and being around musical people and artists. My mum actually gave me a handmade, well, what said in the label, a handmade 12-string guitar for my birthday, which made me kind of notice that guitar making was a thing, and that kind of took me down the Luthier route. And this all kind of coincided around the same time that I got an email in my inbox from a university, the London Metropolitan University, saying that they were doing an evening course in guitar making. And that kind of worked for me because I was working full-time. The university was about 20-minute cycle ride away from there. It was once a week, it was low commitment, so it was kind of like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of interested in this. I've used my, you know, I'm quite fairly good with my hands. The guitar obviously very much interests me. It's a creative outlet for me more than anything. Let's just start going along and seeing kind of what I think of it. And it just kind of sucked me in slowly from there, to the point where I was just like going once a week for a year, thinking, you know, I'm into this, but once again, you know, I just want to get some more experience, but I can't kind of compromise my full-time job. Can I get a bit more experience maybe with the repairer? So talking to the teacher at my evening course, saying, can I work with you? He said, no, my shop's too small. Go to somebody on, you know, go to Denmark Street in London, which is the famous instrument street. See if, you know, there's repairers in all of the little nooks and crannies up above the shops. Just go around and see if somebody might be interested in taking you. And I started doing that. So I went to Celine Kamerlink in Luthier's Corner, started seeing her on weekends doing the evening course. So it kind of just like slowly escalated from there. And I just had a thirst to want to kind of increase my skills any way possible. Started building a ukulele in my my spare bedroom in my flat. So there was just kind of lots of ways that I was really trying just to up my experience and my skills and feed that thirst for knowledge.
Right. I remember Celine. She used to work with Dave King, right?
That's right. Yeah. So I think Dave King started Luthier's Corner, and they became business partners, and then Celine took it over from Dave. But yeah, she was there for many years, but I think she's now, because of Denmark Street, she's moved to East London.
Right. Yeah. Denmark Street's it's changed a lot over the years.
Yeah, there's a big Crossrail development going in now, which I think is desperately trying to compromise them, but I think Denmark Street is holding its own a little bit, but we'll see.
Shudder to think what the rentals are like there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and now you're out on your own building wonderful guitars. Yeah. What's your building philosophy like at the moment?
My building philosophy, well, so the shop behind me, we spent most of last year kind of renovating. I took on a bit more space. We've incorporated a spray booth. So now when we did that, I was very mindful about kind of workflows and how things were going to work with having a separate machine room. We're in the hand room right now, which is kind of the quiet space. So I'm kind of enjoying the fruits of that labor at the moment, kind of being able to move around my shop quite freely, having the space to build. Currently I'm building either 3 or 4 guitars at one time quite comfortably, which I'm really enjoying, kind of the flow of being able to do the repetitive tasks, but not so much that, you know, it becomes too much. I'm kind of finding my balance with that. So yeah, I guess one, kind of enjoying the efficiency and the flow aspect, which I never had in a smaller shop, but equally, you know, it's always kind of being mindful and trying to improve on everything that you're doing. And every time you do one of those, like joining a top, for example, I say that because I was doing it yesterday, so that's coming like to the top of my mind. Every time, you know, you've taken a break from it, you come back to it, you remind yourself how it was when you did it the previous time. But in my mind, I'm always like, yeah, but I want to find something where I can do it better this time. And that, I think, is kind of, I guess, an ongoing philosophy for me, that I do always want to strive to improve my skills and the outcome at the end of the day. So I guess that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Right. And I see a lot of native woods.
Yeah.
What's the sort of reasoning behind that?
So that kind of came about right at the beginning when I was learning how to make guitars, kind of thinking about the future, thinking about the long-term prospects of what I was hearing about rosewoods and these woods that are very, very popular in the high-end acoustic guitar market, effectively becoming depleted to the point of extinction. But more concern on my part, one, do I kind of want to cultivate that going forward, but also, like, what if I'm to use it? What if I use it at the beginning of my career and actually find that I just can't build with it going forward? But equally, so that was one element of it, but equally it was trying to think, well, what could make me stand out from the crowd? There's so many guitar makers. Is there something that I can find that's maybe will make me a little bit unique? And that led me to think, okay, well, there are loads of English woods. Well, what I started to learn was there were loads of English woods available. Firstly, on the back and sides, I came across an English walnut set. And walnut, you know, American walnut, Claro walnut, it's quite a popular back and side wood. So that kind of thought, well, okay, English walnut, that's close enough to something that's traditionally used that I feel confident that I think that, you know, this is a usable thing that will wield a good result. And then from there, it started to spawn out to maybe other back and sides woods. So London plane, sycamore, you know, they're kind of in the maple side of family. Cherry, walnut, apple are kind of in the mid-weight category. So you can kind of associate them to more traditional woods. Bog oak is a dense wood that kind of can correlate a bit to ebony. So it's kind of finding those correlations to, again, like more traditional woods. But then it started to kind of spawn out to, well, neck woods, what can you use? Sycamore, some maple, walnut, kind of in that mahogany remit. And I just kind of went down a rabbit hole. And from that point on, soundboards, bracing, head plates, decorative features, burrs, elm burrs, things like that. And I just became really, really interested in kind of thinking about what can I use to substitute every part of the guitar, including the soundboard, which then exploring which I'd used as a back and sides, tried that as a soundboard, cedar of Lebanon, Western red cedar. So yeah, it's something that I kind of, I guess, started from a sustainable USP aspect, but actually it really interested me at the end of the day, and there seems to be that people are interested in it. So it's become very much part of what I do, as well as using traditional woods as well. It's become quite a big part of what I do.
Right. Could you tell us a little bit more about those two soundboards, the U and the Cedar Lebanon?
Cedar, yeah. So the U it's a softwood. Technically, it's classed as a softwood, but it's quite hard. It's got a very springy nature. So historically, it was used for longbows and things like that because it kind of springs back. So using it for a soundboard means, yeah, because it's a little bit harder, it's a little bit heavier than spruce. It takes a little bit more to activate it, but the characteristic of the U soundboard is it's got a really, really sweet chime. But interestingly, I think it has a lot more headroom than your spruces, certainly your cedars. So if you've got somebody that really likes to attack the soundboard, it can take that. So jazz style play, but equally it's a recipe thing. So depending on what somebody tells me, so I say that because I just built a mid-sized model for a jazz orientated player, which has U and cherry. And cherry is quite a lively kind of mid-weight wood, but then it's all about kind of the recipe, because if somebody came to me and said, well, I'm interested in a U soundboard, what type of music do you play? Oh, I play like maybe slightly softer, maybe with a thumb pick, but not kind of, I don't attack it. Well, but you like the sound of kind of maybe if they tried a U guitar and they're interested in it, well, can we warm it up somehow? So maybe having a U soundboard with a walnut back and sides. Walnut is kind of got that character of warming things up. So it's kind of taking it in the neck wood as well, taking everything into the equation to think, okay, well, if you want a U soundboard, you're interested in it, let me learn about your style of play and see if there's something maybe we can do to make it work for all styles of play. But especially, I'd say, if somebody like quite likes a harder attack, then it's really good for that. Cedar of Lebanon as a slightly different alternative. So Western red cedar is, I would say, correlates to kind of your traditional cedar sound. It's warm, it's softer, it's really like, I guess, nice for kind of that dadgad Celtic style. Cedar of Lebanon is kind of a bit between the two. So a bit between the cedar and a bit between the yew, in that it's a harder cedar. So it has a more of a consistent feel to it, similar to the yew, whereas the cedar, you've got hard and the soft grain, which really kind of like you can feel and see the difference between them, whereas Cedar of Lebanon is more consistent. So again, it's got that slightly warmer sound, a bit less headroom, a bit less chime than the yew, but still a bit more chimey and harder than your traditional cedar and the English Western red cedar.
Right. And I guess, I mean, the fruit woods like cherry and pear, and I think apple, have been used in historical instruments. I mean, the lutes are traditionally made with pear, I remember.
That's right.
But has there been, I mean, does it still remain your main output? I mean, the reason why I say that is obviously because I used to handle a lot of Brazilian rosewood. After handling the Brazilian, go back and handle the Cura walnut, and highly unpromising tap on those. Although some unpromising tap tones have turned out, Tonewoods have turned out to sound actually better than those with really nice tap tones.
Yeah.
But is that still your main output, as the market been receptive to that?
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, I do use traditional woods as well. So, it's important to say I do have experience of kind of, feeling that Madagascan rosewood, tapping and feel it and getting that chime, and comparing that to English woods and kind of how they sound. But then it's difficult, because I guess it's hard to describe like every single element that goes into a guitar that makes it have good tone. So it's easy to say, well, if you have Brazilian rosewood back and sides, you'll get a great guitar, and that's just not the case. But it's much harder to try and convey all of the different things that you're doing quite easily for somebody to understand, to say, well, this is actually why I think my guitars sound good. It's not just because of the woods, it's because of everything else that I'm doing. So I'd like, in answer to your question, people definitely are interested in the English woods. And I'd say I would probably say it's about 60 to 65%, maybe even 70% of my guitars have English wood incorporated in them. Right. So they may not be completely all English woods, but it's either an element of it or all English woods. I would say about 70% of my guitars have that. But so I mean, I would say it's back to the recipe thing. It's understanding what the woods can do and what they actually combine with. For example, like the bog oak, it's got that kind of heavy, weighty, it doesn't ring, but what it has like a power and a sustain to it. I'm like, okay, right, that's great, but it doesn't have a chime to it or clarity or like that bell. So how can I bring that in another element? The yew has that. Maybe the bog oak can bring the under, the bass, and the yew can come in with the chime, and together they can build an incredible instrument. Sometimes the neck I feel plays a really important role in the whole combination as well. Like, we don't really talk about what the neck material is, and I think the energy is going through that fingerboard into the neck, into the body. It's a big part of what you're probably hearing. So I appreciate it's difficult to kind of educate and get people talking about all of these other elements, because it's just not as easy. It's kind of easier to say, this back and sides is great, this back and sides doesn't sound great, therefore they're not, like, that's going to be a great guitar and that's not going to be a great guitar. So it's kind of a bit more of a complex conversation, but I think it's an important one to kind of keep trying to address and explaining it in the best way possible.
Fantastic, thank you for that. And maybe it's time just to catch up on what you've been working on in the shop.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just in the middle of getting 4 guitars into the spray booth and starting the next 3. So yesterday and the day before, I've been shooting the backs and the tops, and we have a rather nice set of Macassar ebony, which
looks great.
That's going to be turned into a TG model, a 12 fret TG model, which is currently my biggest size. And then linking back to the English woods. So this guitar is going to be a hybrid. So it's not going to be all English. It's going to have an Alpine spruce top, but it's going to have an English grown black walnut back and sides. This is really, really nice walnut. It's got a great tap. It's quite dense. Walnuts kind of come in all different densities, but this is especially a really, really nice dense walnut set, and you probably can't see it like without a finish on, but it's got some really nice figuring on it. Yeah, and a nice little line down the middle. And the other one, this one is an exciting project because it's going to be a new model, which I won't say exactly what it is yet, but this is going to be the first one. Malaysian Blackwood, really, really nice, got some figure in it. And that's going to be combined with a Swiss Moon soundboard. So yeah, got those in the pipeline, and I will take you through. If I switch you around, you can see outside my workshop. Nice sunny day today.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. So here is the spray booth, and we've got these. This is where they hang up, and this is where Carl does the spraying.
Yep.
So I won't turn them around just for fear that because I'm holding this, I might ding it, and then I'll be terribly mad at myself. But so here we've got a bog oak TG, and that's combined with a sycamore neck, which has got some nice flame on it. And the bog oak with, so the sycamore kind of ties into the back with the back strip and all the binding scheme. Nice dark set of bog oak. And then coming on to this one, we've got some Coco Bolo, really, really gorgeous set of Coco Bolo. And this is color scheme is something that I've done before using gold satin wood on the binding scheme. And that follows into the rosette. I don't know if I can get under a little bit. No.
Don't do it, Rosie. We've already had we've had one bump on the chat already. That's
oh no. And yeah, mahogany neck. And then these two are TS models, which is my smallest model. This one has a nice custom pattern inlay on the back, and that's got English U running around.
Right, that's bog oak, right?
Yeah, this one is bog oak as well. And this one is another TS with Indian rosewood and mahogany, koa on the binding, and it's got a Benjamin scoop. Actually, they both got a Benjamin scoop. And they're both 12 fret joins, mahogany neck. And yeah, that's that.
Lovely.
So I will just come back.
Well, that's lovely.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, that's what we've got going on here at the moment.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for sharing. I think time's getting on. We better let you get back to work, and we should catch up soon.
Yeah. No. Thank you very much for the interview, and yeah, I look forward to seeing it come out and the other content that you've got.
Well, thank you very much. We'll catch up soon. Take care now.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.